Okay, so we start stretching our quads. We are pulling the leg as close to our hips as we can. And we hold it for 30 to 45 seconds. We are stretching now our hamstrings. If we want stronger stretch, we can go chest down toward our knee, then the stretch is stronger. And stretching inside of the thigh. We are going with our hips back to our heel, and we can move even forward and backwards. And when we go backwards, we breathe out to relax the muscles a little bit more and get a couple of centimeters more into the stretch. Switch the leg and do the same on the other side. We are also stretching our hip flexors here. And then after this, we go to 90-90 head mobility, rotation on the floor. It's called 90-90 because each leg is 90 degrees we put, and then we rotate our hips from one side to the other. We can do couple of times each side, and then if this is too easy, there is also option when you can go up on the knees, pushing the hips forward. Then after this one, we can do a little bit also mobility for upper body. A little bit exercise called windmill. You can put the lower leg straight down. Yes, like that. And we are doing circles, touching with our fingers. Try to touch the floor. We can go like this, full circles, or we can go half circle and then back in the same way we came. And then we do 4 or 5 times each side. Okay, this is rotational core stability. So we are extending opposite leg and arm, trying to keep the straight back and everything in line, stabilizing our core. Good. Okay, we're gonna do a couple of dynamic stretch exercises. We usually do them walking up and down the court, gym, but they can also, some of them can be done on the spot if you don't have enough space, or you have bigger group and you put them in circle. And okay, we're gonna start. So the straight leg is going backwards, it touches down, toward. You don't have to touch the floor, it's just that you try to come horizontal. So we are stretching our hamstring, we are stretching also the spine, we are doing balance. A couple of times each leg. Trying to have the straight back, straight leg. Working on arm balance. Okay. So, next one. Usually call it the world's greatest stretch. So, you are stepping, big step forward, going down, rotating your spine up. You reach up and you follow your hand with your eyes. Good posture, chest up, straight back. Good, and she is in the same time, she's also stretching hamstrings in the same exercise. Okay, now we're gonna do a little bit lunges. Front lunges with side rotation. Good. Again, what we watch here is that our knees don't fall in. We try to push them out or straight, that they are straight line, that they don't go inside, and that we have again straight back. So we do that a couple of times. And then side lunges, also very important in basketball. We are moving sideways a lot, especially in defense stance. So it's very important we warm up these muscles. Good. And then what we also want, we want to open up the hips a little bit. Usually we do this over the hurdles, but you can do it like this also, even walking or in the spot with the imaginary hurdle. So front and back, inside out, outside in. And then we have also side hurdles. We're going sideways, up and under. So we are going over the hurdle and then under the hurdle. We try to go as low as possible. Going down, we extend one leg under, go with the upper body low, and pull the other leg on the other side. Good. And then we finish up with worm. So this is called worm. You try to have extended elbows and knees all the time. And usually you go this forward or backwards, or you can do it in the spot a couple of times. As much as you can. So lots and lots of muscles, all bodies activating here. And then in the end we can also, maybe instead of this one, we can use bear crawls. And then you can also do, maybe when you don't have enough space, you go a couple of steps forward, couple of steps backwards, and then it can also be done side to side. What is important that your hands are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. And you try to keep them there all the time. Small steps, knees are all the time close to the ground. Trying to have your back straight and try not to rotate your back and hips while you do the exercise. Good. Yeah, this is second part of the dynamic stretch where we are a little bit more almost running movement. Is the same that we are doing a lot from one side to the other on the court or in the gym, but we can also do this in a spot. So it's stepping, then half and high knees, and then heel kicks. Good. Then we have karaoke step that we usually go side to side, from one side court to the other. And then we have a little bit also stability that we jump diagonal, usually front from one side to the other, but you can do side to side like this, that we stabilization for our knees. It's very important in basketball. And then we finish up usually with the jumping jacks, and that you really got your pulse going. That's it. Indian jumps, maybe. Usually what we go, it's the movement that we go for layups. Good. Okay, in this movement segment, dynamic warm-ups, we put lots of different exercises, and we just showing the ones that we usually use the most, but we use them all from time to time. So we put them a lot that you can choose from. This next part is you can find somewhere line on the court, or if you have at home you can put tape or whatever, something on the floor that you can jump over. So this is a little bit footwork and speed to speed up the legs a little bit. Usually we do it before the start of the practice. Okay. So the first one is straight knees jump with the toes trying to point up. Good. And then next one, two legs jump over the line front back and side to side. And you try to be as fast as possible to get that footwork with the ground reaction. And then it's also one leg, which is also very important, to work on each separately, and side to side also. Good. And you can finish up with some scissor jumps. The similar stuff can be done a lot with the ladders on the floor. That's been done with that also, but this is something that you can maybe do in a spot where you don't have lots of space. Okay, also the very important part of this footwork and before the practices and great for warm-up is of course jump rope, and you can just play with it. Do 2 legs as fast as you can, side to side, front, back, and all the other variations that can be on your mind with one leg, with switching the legs. So don't be afraid to use it. It's great thing to do regularly. Good. Okay, so for the balance part, easy exercise. You can do it anywhere. Just standing for 30 seconds on one foot, and the other one is up, knee 90 degrees. You can do this from 30 seconds to 1 minute as you progress. And some progression, harder version would be closing your eyes, of course. Or do it on some unstable surface if you have some, like, I don't know, in the gyms you have Bosu balls or something like that. But I think for the start this is enough to start standing on one leg and then trying with the closed eyes. Okay, so this is activation part, stability, core, exercise dead bugs. We are doing lower back should be all the time glued to the floor. Knees 90 degrees. You are pushing the ball all the time up and it's in front of you. And then you can, for easier version, without weight, you can almost find anything at home that's heavy to hold to do this exercise. It doesn't have to be round or any kind of shape specifically. And also harder version is either you can hold this in extension couple of seconds, or if you have elastic band or something more heavier, of course. So with the elastic band you tighten it with straight elbows, that core is activated, and then you just do with the legs and keep all the time. Good. Next exercise that we have is side plank. This one that we did before dead bugs, it's usually 10 times each leg. And side plank we usually do on time, let's say 30 seconds. So relax the head, neck, or everything from heels to the head should be in straight line. Easier version, you can go with the knee down. And of course, it's very important to watch here in this exercise that your hips don't fall back. That's what usually happens a lot. Harder version is going with hip flexion or hip extension like this. You're doing abduction of the leg. or we can do the flexion. Okay, the next exercise is mini band walk. Usually, if you have something elastic at home, you put one around the knees, and then you go a little bit low, straight back, and you go walking. You never put heels together. If you started in the, let's say, how your shoulders are wide, then you keep in that, and you're pushing your knees all the time out. And usually you should feel outside of the thighs working. If you want harder version is with extra bands, and of course easier one is with less. Maybe this exercise can also be done if you don't have elastic band, that you are pushing with your hands, knees inside, and you are pushing with your knees outside. So, yes. You are pushing with your hands, your knees inside, but you don't let with your legs, you are pushing outside. Good. And the next one, split stance press. So we are also doing with this with the elastic band in the split stance. So we are working here on balance. This is one of the so-called anti-rotation exercises. That means we don't let that elastic band or the force to pull us in any direction. We want to stay straight, working on stability. Easier version is to go bilateral stance, do the same. And harder version would be to go up and down in this split stance. And also in the harder version you can stay a little bit in this extended position, which puts more time under the pressure and your core is working more. Okay, next one is squeezing the ball between your knees. Basically it can be any kind of, even the basketball, or if you have some kind of soft ball at home, or even something else. So you are 90 degrees knees and you are squeezing the knees, let's say 5 to 10 seconds, let's say 5 times. The easier version of this one can be with the straight legs and the ball between the ankles. And you can have the legs down on the floor, so it's easier. If you lift your legs up, then it's also your core that's working, stomach, that you are doing harder, of course. And you can do also either like that harder version, or harder version with the glute bridge and squeezing the ball at the same time. Good. Okay, and the last exercise in this activation is farmer's walk. One of the most functional exercises. You go to grocery store, you are carrying heavy weight all the time. So lots of muscles involved here in this one. What's important, walk in the straight line, slowly, straight back. What usually happens, that your shoulders go down, and how to correct that is think like you have a thin paper under your armpits and squeeze it with your hands, and immediately your shoulder and your scapula back correct itself. And easier version, of course, take take less weights, and for some kind of harder version, of course, heavy weights, but you can take only one weight in a hand. That's also, and then with the other one you are holding the balance to keep the straight. Good. Okay, so we are going to the strength part of the practice, and we start with legs. So usually we put in lots of this in the program, couple of exercises where you can choose which one you want to do that day, that you have more options, that if you are doing this program for 2 months, that kids don't get bored doing all the time the same exercise in the same day. Okay, so we can choose between regular squat, deep squat with a straight back. We watch that our knees don't go over the toes, that they don't fall in. And then second one is one leg squat, or so-called Bulgarian squat. We usually give them some really small weight, like this that she's holding, 5 kilos. 10 kilos tops with the 14-year-olds in the start, although they want to have big weights immediately. We are focusing more on technique in here. Same knee not falling in, not going over the toes, straight back. And then the last one is lateral. Like I said, it's very important in basketball, with all the side movements and defense stances, to have strong legs in the lateral squatting. And with this exercise we usually go together with them. We use one of the jump that we transform immediately that strength to. So it's either regular jumps close to the box, or whatever they have, some kind of chair. The other options is also when you jump, that you jump down on one leg, and that's also really important, that it's not high, that it's small height, where they can control that jump down, their knee especially, that it doesn't fall in, hips, back. Or they can use really small weight, or 2, I don't know, full bottle, water bottles, that they can do squat jumping from one squat to the next. So this is just showing that you see how it should be done, but after you do the squats, this go explosive, just 4 or 5 jumps, really explosive to do the transformation. Good. Okay, so after legs, we go to upper body, rowing, dumbbell row. What we want here is the straight back, hand under the shoulder, knee under the hips. And then easier version would be with the both legs down on the floor. Again, straight back. And maybe some kind of harder version would be if we put one leg up in the air, we are not standing with the knee on the bench. Again, straight back, straight leg, and that's it. the other exercise. Chins with elastic band. So she's gonna go immediately to harder version without elastic band. Good. Then go with elastic band. And then some easier version, if we can do it with elastic band, even if maybe we don't have the toughest, harder elastic band, we can do it just with the jumping up and going as slowly as possible down. And try to go as slowly as possible down. That will also build our hand strength for this movement. Okay, next exercise, Nordic leg curl. Maybe the best exercise for recovery of or building the hamstrings. And we go with a straight back. Try to hold 3 to 5 seconds going down. Try to get to that. Some easier version would be maybe to use elastic bands under the armpits and holding. Then it's easier to take some time going down. And some harder version would be just to hold longer. Some can even, when they come really strong, older, can go all the way down and back without touching the floor. That's some kind of goal with this exercise if you want to build it up to it. Okay, and the next one. So the easier version is without any weight. Regular version, you take something in your hand that's heavy. Doesn't matter what. We're gonna have here med ball. And then some kind of harder version would be to go also up. Good. Okay, so we are back to hands, pushing with hands. We are doing triceps overhead press. We try to have just moving from elbow up. Like you see, from elbow down is static. So that triceps is really working out. This is really good for passing the ball, shooting the ball. That's the same movements. Some easier version of this exercise would be doing it on the floor. Yeah, a bit like that, so it's easier. And then maybe some harder version would be either with the bigger weight or doing it on the bench. And we can do this exercise also with elastic band, not just weight. Good. And the other exercise is yoga push-ups. So what we're trying to do, we are going push up and then with the hips up, stretching our whole posterior chain, backs, hamstrings. We are trying, the goal is when you go up that we try to go with the heels down on the floor. And some easier version is either go regular push-ups, or you know, even easier of that is push-ups with the knees down on the floor, or we go this, try to do this yoga push-up with the knees, with the hands on the higher surface. That makes it easier. And then some kind of maybe tougher version of this is maybe putting the hands more together, maybe more narrow. There are some other also sliding ways to do this exercise that we won't show now. And that's it for the B part of the program. Okay, now we are in the C part of the program. Assistance a little bit for full body focusing. First exercise, the heel raises or calf raises. One leg calf raises. Usually we do it somewhere by the wall that you can hold with one finger of the hand so that you just have better balance. Some kind of easier version is going with the both legs. And harder version would be when you go up to hold 2-3 seconds on one leg, to hold a little bit in that up position and go in slowly as possible down. Okay, and then we have for the back next to exercise that you can choose between. And back extensions. So we're going with the straight back, trying not overextend our lower back when we go up, but we are in the straight line, and down also that we keep until the position that we keep the straight back. Some harder version would be using some kind of weight in front of ourselves, and easier version would be doing it maybe on the floor with lifting lower back. And then the other one for the back exercise is so-called Cobra and Superman that we do together. So we are lifting our legs just a little bit from the ground, and we are lifting upper chest from the ground as much as we can, and we are pushing our shoulder blades together behind. And then we are doing this, let's say, for 15 seconds, and then coach or somebody at home says Superman, and then you go to extension and hold that for 15 seconds. Some easier version would be just to do one of these exercises instead of both, or doing less time. And harder version, of course, is to do for longer time. So you can always push yourself to do 5 or 10 seconds more if it's too easy. Okay, next exercise, mountain climber. We go with the knees toward our chest, straight. This exercise can be done slowly or fast. And then some easier version is if you put your hands on some higher bench or something, stepper like we have here. And some harder version can be if you have some kind of Pilates ball or maybe T-Rex that you put your legs on. So that one, or lots of people have T-Rex these days that they put at home between the doors. T-Rex, you can basically do the full body, all the exercises in different way. It's very useful when you can get to the gym. Good. And the next one is so-called Russian twist with the weight. So this one can be done explosively also with hitting the floor, or if you have angry neighbors, then you can do without hitting the floor, going slowly. And harder version would be to extend the elbows to do as much farther from the body as you can on the side to touch the floor. And I think it's harder and easier. We usually do harder version passing to the wall on the side, but that will probably also get your neighbors very angry. And the easier version is doing it, of course, without any weight. Good. And the last one is side rolling on the floor, lateral roll. So we extend our arms and legs as much as we can, and we go easy rolling. We try that we don't touch the floor with elbows, knees and legs. Easier version would be to bend a little bit, knees or arms, and then of course tougher version is try to do whole thing without touching the floor, with the elbows and hands and knees and foot, only in the middle of the body. It's really good for the small, deep side muscles of the core. Good. Okay, for this last part, we have explosive reaction part. Usually this explosive part you do in the start of the practice, but because usually our players go to play basketball because there is not much time in the day. You come from school, you do this 2 times this weight, and then you go to basketball. Usually after this static positioning, we like to finish with some movement and explosiveness so that they come ready for basketball practice. So the first one is side step over the sprint over the stepper as fast as you can, something low, doesn't have to be stepper, as fast as you can for 30 seconds. And then easier version would be to stop on one leg on each side, but you still try to do this middle as fast as possible to have that reaction. And then some harder version would be to go to regular and have somebody pass you the ball while you are doing it. Still try to do as fast as possible. Okay? And then next exercise is med ball slam. So we go extend ball up over our head, we go on our toes all the way up and like slam, dunk the ball. And we try in this that we are straight and that our knees don't fall in. Good. And some easier version, of course, is take some easier ball or med ball, or harder version would be with the side rotation. So from side to side. Good. also very good, not just explosiveness but also with strong dribbling. And the next one is hexagon jump. It's very much used exercise where you go in 6 directions, jump. Usually in lots of gyms you have this hexagon, squares and other stuff written on the floor, and this exercise is going over the line. So it's one front, then diagonal, then another diagonal down, then backwards, and then another diagonals. So it's 6 jumps, and you try to do them as fast as you can. So it's really also for the footwork. And easier version would be to do only on the square, like 4. So sideways, back, also as fast as you can. And some harder version would be to do it on the one leg, also this, which is going to be challenge to good. Excellent. And then the last one is the tennis ball drop for hand-eye coordination. So you are holding the hands over who's helping you, and they need to know which hand you're gonna drop. And it's also fun. And some harder version would be to go lower, and easier version would be to go higher. Okay, and that's it for our first program.